I got Toby going for a walkie. Oh, that's a little bouncy. Tope, stay here. You're making my camera go all weird. Good thing I have her in a head support. Two of them actually. One's like a extra support. We're on the grass, that's why. Took it for a bud. Buses. I haven't been on one of those in a year and a half. Ooh, you okay, bud? Heard it. Sorry, I was fixing her hood. There, you can have more leash now. No, you're just gonna walk over. He's a lazy walker. That's why I'm filming her while I have him, because Emma, I will not be able to film her at all. Emma's a nut job. She prefers the scooter, but my mobility scooter, she likes to run next to it, but I put it away. I gotta start getting more exercise. So I'm taking advantage of any weather that the dogs can actually walk in that's not early morning or late evening, because the mosquitoes are just awful. And I have fatigue issues, so mornings are hard for me. I don't know why these cameras, they make her look redder than what she is. I mean, she has that newborn complexion, but the cameras make her look like a tomato. This is actually her first walk. I've done it yet. It's funny to see how much she moves because of her being silicone compared to Ella, where like Ella would move if I hit a bump or something, but usually she's still. But her head moves around and her hands and stuff and her feet. It's her feet when I'm filming. I mean, not when I'm filming, when I'm pushing her. She moves, or when I'm holding her, if I just move a certain way, or when I'm rocking her, it looks like she's moving a little bit. Which, when I first got her, I mean, she was like albino. But when I first got her, it was weird for me at first. I wasn't used to it. Because she's like squishy. But her body is like her torso and her bum are firm. And her belly's a little firm, but it has like a little like squishiness to it because of the soft one. But her hands are squishy, her fingers and her feet. So it took me a little getting used to, but and when I change her, I have to be careful because she does stretch. If I pull too like hard, that can ruin her or rip her, ruin the paint. So like cause like a peeling. So but I really, really love her. She feels so real when you hold her. It's different. It's like a real body weight to it, you know. And her limbs just kind of like fall like a real baby would when they're sleeping. So that's what I really love about her. Personally, for me, I wouldn't want an open eye silicone because they're not that relaxed when they're awake. So that would be really weird for me. I wouldn't like that. So like even in the vinyl babies, I do prefer the closed eyes, where my sister, she actually prefers the open eyes because she said it's like you could see what kind of personality they would have by the way that they look and by the eyes that they have and stuff. But for me, I'm completely opposite. When they're still like that, they got to be sleeping. So everyone has their own in the reborn world. Everyone has what they like and what they don't like. So some like the preemies, or some prefer just the newborns, or some prefer just the bigger babies, and other people like all of them. So it's a big world. Reborn world is a big world, but I've got to say that my love is definitely for silicone, but not for making them. Making her was extremely stressful, and I don't know, that's more so because of how much she cost. And you know, she was gifted to me. Her sculpt was gifted to me, so I knew I wouldn't be able to afford her if you know, I did make mistakes on her, but you know, they're easily covered with clothes. So I mean, I'm okay with that, being she's my first one. The mistakes that I made, when I originally finished her, I really loved her skin tone. Just loved it, but the veins were too dark. Because when I was painting the veins, they weren't showing up. So I was like, oh, you know, didn't do it thick enough. So when I redid the veins, I still had like some other modeling I was doing and things like that, which I figured would even them out. But silicone is much different than painting vinyl. It doesn't work the same way. The things that you can change on vinyl, you can't change on silicone. And I learned from the creator, Dainty Loft, who pours for McPherson, the silicone. I learned from her that the more layers you do, the darker they get. So it's not like you can keep layering and the veins will, you know, slowly, you can't do that. You know, where you could do like 30, 35 layers to 60 layers if you wanted to on vinyl, but you can't do that with silicone. And one of the most challenging for me was before you use the powder, which mats them, makes them not look shiny, you're not going to get like exactly what they're going to look like, you know, until after the matting is done and after the powdering is done. And the powder's not cheap, it's expensive. So that's the frustrating part. Usually when I do vinyls, when I mat them, they may lighten a little bit or may darken a little bit depending on, you know, which skin tone I'm going for, and how long I let them sit for. But I thought because of the powder that she would lighten more, and so the veins would, and it didn't work out that way. The veins actually were stronger after the matting powder. So if you're thinking of painting silicone, just let me advise you that it's nothing like vinyl at all. I learned to paint her because I couldn't afford someone to do it. It's very expensive to pay a silicone artist, and sorry, there's kids on the riding on the sidewalk, and they're actually not supposed to be because they're older kids. It's a residential area, and they're speeding on their bikes. So I was afraid Toby was gonna freak out. Yeah. So if you're thinking of doing silicone, my advice to you would be, like, you need a lot of patience. You need to just take it layer by layer. And you can only do one layer at a time. That's the best way to do it. Because it won't cure properly. I practiced on faces before, and I didn't have that issue with the veins, but there wasn't a lot of areas where I could practice veining. But everything else went pretty well. But it is very challenging. If you find vinyl challenging, I wouldn't even bother touching silicone. I was a reborn artist a year before I got her, so that helped knowing methods, but the way you apply it is completely different. And they don't all, it's not going to work exactly the way that it works on vinyl. So that's my advice to you. But overall, I think she came out really good. Considering she's my first baby. There's a vein on the top back of her shoulder that's more visible than it should be. And there's a vein on her arm, that's on her left arm, that's more visible than it should be. And a little small one on the top of her left hand, which is not very visible. I mean, maybe to me, because I know that it's there, but you wouldn't know really unless you were like looking her over. But those in her head, of course, but I'm not worried about her head because she's going to be rooted. So, it wasn't that bad. She did have some bluing that was darker in one area than the rest of her, which is not a huge deal because young babies get that, newborns. So, but yeah, I mean, I worked on her for 3 months. I didn't work on her like every day. I took breaks sometimes. Had the vaccine, so I was off for a week on 2 different times, and but the worst part for me, silicone painting, besides not knowing your results until after the matting powder, is you have to pick lint and hair, and if you have a piece of your brush on her, you got to pick all of that off before you paint her, and you got to go over her after you paint her, so that when the silicone cures. The hair doesn't cure underneath. And it's almost impossible not to have a hair there or a hair here, but it won't be as noticeable when they're matted. It's not huge. You would have to be looking under visors. I used visors when I went over her for the hair, micro visors. So that is like you could spend an hour doing that, depending, you know. I was doing her in a room where the animals don't go in, and I was still, you know, it was a nightmare. I even changed my clothes, fresh clothes, and she looks like so weird. It looks so weird on this video. This is pro too. She looks like a tomato. She doesn't, she's not really that red. I can't get over that. Anyway, we're almost home. But that's my advice to you when it comes to silicone. And getting pictures of them on camera is a real pain, even with the vinyl, because I don't know why there's so much red in this picture. Maybe because of all the purple and the pink, maybe the camera is, you know, grabbing onto those colors. But she looks like a little tomato. But she's not that red in person. Anyway, that was our first walk. We're gonna head home. I gotta get the next dog who is a tugger. She's a husky mix. So this guy, he's lazy. Toby, are you lazy? Toby, looking for squirrels? Say thanks for watching. Toby, say bye.